Which camera am I?
All right, welcome into another episode of Chasing the Cup. I'm Corey Miller, here with Hannah Yates. And Hannah, we are excited. The Blues are on to the second round after a great first round against the Wild. We were there for Game 6. It was a lot of fun.
We were there for Game 6, and it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that they were able to cap it off here at home, something they weren't able to do in 2019 in Game 6, so that was special for the crowd.
Yeah, I know they were happy not to go on the road for Game 7 for that first round. But let's look back on that series against the Wild. The biggest decision, obviously, was to put Jordan Binnington in net after Ville Husso shut out the Wild in the first game. 2 games, the whole team struggled. They put Binnington in, and they're automatically great again, and everything's good. What do you think about that decision from Berube to do that? Because Husso was the better goalie during the regular season.
Right. We've seen Craig Berube do this a lot this season, honestly, where they lose 2 straight. They want to change the momentum. He says, why don't we do it with Jordan Binnington, see how it goes. He had done well towards the end of the season, leading into the postseason, but it was really a toss-up. He changed the lineup completely, but I think it was huge. I think he put him in there just to make some saves originally, but like we've talked about, he's great at handling the puck as well. That made a difference in the series.
That's what I was going to ask you about. You broke it down last night. Berube says that all the time, and kind of the casual hockey fan is like, okay, handles the puck. But just how big is that? You showed it was a big difference.
It's a big difference, and what that means is he's really just basically challenging a forward in their own defensive zone and then passing the puck to one of the Blues defensemen or forwards so that they can clear the puck out of the zone and get it back into the offensive zone. And so it really eliminates the forecheck for any opposing team that's trying to go at Jordan Binnington. And really what that boils down to is a lot of confidence. A lot of goaltenders in the National Hockey League don't do that because they're not great with handling the puck or they just don't have the confidence level to leave the net.
Well, we know Jordan Binnington is not lacking confidence and that he's not nervous. So good move by Berube there. I'm sure we're going to see him the rest of the way now. We got to talk about the defensive injuries as well. That was a big storyline of this first round against the Wild. They overcame them. Nick Leddy was out. Scandella was out. Perunovic came back. They kind of switched everything around, and it worked out. But the guys they did have in there played really well. Falk and Parayko, a lot of minutes. Perunovic on the power play. Just what did you see from the defense?
I think defense overall, there was a lot of different components. The fact that they could battle through those injuries and still win games really speaks to the depth of Blues defensemen and a lot of players who hadn't played in a playoff game with the St. Louis Blues. Calle Rosen, you even see him stepping into the mix, had a rough game his first time out there, but then he steps up and really locks things down. And I think it's great. If you have 2 powerhouses back there in a Colton Parayko and a Justin Falk who can log more than 31 minutes of ice time in a game, that's huge.
Yeah, that is huge. Hopefully, they're going to be healthy going to the second round. We don't know exactly how things shake out yet. Berube, I think, today said they're hopeful to have Scandella and the guys all back to health, and Krug maybe even, because they were without Torrey Krug after a hit in the first round. So we'll see how that shakes out. Moving on, let's talk about Ryan O'Reilly. Playoff O'Reilly is in full force. He's got 5 goals in those first 6 games. He kind of talked with Frank Cusimano a little while ago. His role is a little bit different than it was in 2019. He doesn't have to score as much, and he kind of gets to do a little bit of everything else. But it's the playoffs, and he's stepping up, and he's scoring, and this guy's just at another level right now.
He's absolutely been at a different level, and it sets the tone for the entire team. When your leader is producing the way that he is, it makes a difference. We saw this back in 2019. That's why he won all the trophies he did that season, and it just speaks to what he can do. And they talk about how when you enter the postseason, you have to take that game to a next level. It's different in Major League Sports comparison to hockey with players being able to do that, and that's exactly what Ryan O'Reilly's done.
So hopefully he can keep it up, and maybe he'll have another Conn Smythe in his future. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's look ahead a little bit now to Colorado. The Avalanche, best team in hockey arguably during the regular season. They didn't have much trouble with the Predators in round 1 of their first round series. What do they do so well that makes them so good?
Well, they have 3 players who are absolutely elite, and really that's what it boils down to. They've had solid goaltending as well. You'll have Darcy Kemper in there, he's a solid goaltender that the Blues will have to face. But Nathan MacKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, and Mikko Rantanen are absolutely elite. Sometimes they're playing on the same line these days. Those players, those 3 combined for more than 300 points this regular season, which is pretty good if you really had to compare that to other lines in the league.
So those 3 are really good. Darcy Kemper is going to be back in net for them as well. Their starting goaltender had a bit of a scare with an eye injury against the Preds, but it didn't really matter. They weren't going to lose to them anyway. So he's back in goal. That's probably a big thing for them too.
It is. It is. He posted a .934 save percentage in the postseason so far. In the games that he's played, he only had to play 3 against Nashville. So we haven't seen a large sample size in the postseason since Colorado swept Nashville in 4 games. He missed that last one with that injury, like you mentioned. But he is a great goaltender as well.
Can this defense survive like they did against the Wild against the Avalanche if not everybody's healthy and these guys are logging crazy long minutes? They're counting on Rosen and maybe some others. Is Colorado too good for them to survive? Defensive-wise.
Well, I wish I had a more solidified answer, but I feel like the answer is we don't know yet. And Nick Leddy kind of alluded to that today at practice. He said, we just have to shut down these players the way that we did with Kaprizov. You saw Leddy do that. He didn't allow a single goal by Kaprizov at full strength for more than 23 minutes of ice that he was out there, the games he was healthy. He's looking to do that as well against someone like Nathan MacKinnon. But you have multiple elite players at a completely different level in terms of depth as compared to the Wild. That makes a difference, and every defenseman is going to have to step up.
Everybody's got to step up. Nobody's picking the Blues, I'll tell you that right now, other than maybe us here in St. Louis. So we're going to do some prediction on the spot. Hopefully we can come back and make ourselves look smart. What do you think this one goes? Who wins?
This is going to be tough. I mean, if the Blues win this, I really think it's going to have to go deep. There's no way that Colorado is going to lose 3 games straight the way that the Minnesota Wild did. I just believe they're too deep to do that. I don't think that the Blues are going to get swept. I think the Blues are too good to do that. And I do think that the Blues are constantly underrated. It's a smaller market. It's just, it's how it is every single year. But I do think that this would have to go at least 6 games. Just because I'm from St. Louis, I'm going to say St. Louis Blues. I would never choose the opposing team, but that's just how I am.
I can't pick against them either. I'll go Blues in 7. I think they're going to have a little chip on their shoulder after being knocked out last year. They want to prove something here. And the Blues are always at their best when they have something to prove. We saw that in 2019. But I think it's going to go at least 6 games, probably 7. I think the Blues are going to come out on top and prove everybody wrong. And I've been saying this feels like their Stanley Cup kind of to me. Now, obviously we want them to go all the way, but I think this is going to be a tougher challenge than if they do win this game, anybody coming after them. Colorado's going to be a tougher challenge than if it's Dallas or Calgary or the Kings or the Oilers or anybody from the East. This is the biggest test the Blues could possibly face this postseason. So it could be have that Stanley Cup atmosphere. I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, absolutely. Let's not forget that Colorado swept the Blues last season. It's an entirely different roster now. There's just a lot more depth. There's a lot more scoring ability. It's a completely different type of team than the 2019 team, specifically on defense. You have a lot more of offensive power from the back line. So I think that'll make a difference here. But like you mentioned, it's going to be a tough road ahead.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be with you the entire way. We will be back with more episodes of Chasing the Cup later in the second round.